I am on my way down to Parliament Square to join in with the We Ride London protest rally. It's an effort to try and persuade local, city, and national governments to rethink their motorcycling strategy. I'd say over the past 10 years, there's been increasing crime, both in thefts of motorcycles, as well as using stolen motorcycles and scooters to commit crime. Coinciding with that increased crime has been an attack on the police by government in cuts of funding and forces. The Minister of Parliament, who is responsible for the cutting of the police forces, is now our Prime Minister. And I don't think it's a long stretch to see the correlation. With the reduced police forces and the increased motorcycle crime, the new Mayor of London has created a policy of shifting the burden of motorcycle theft to the owners and the manufacturers. Now, most responsible motorcycle owners lock up their bikes and have security on their bikes in the ways of alarms and trackers and various locks, but the policies set forth for the Metropolitan Police in particular make it the Wild West for motorcycle theft, to the point where police won't even investigate motorcycle theft. They just tell you to report it to your insurance company. And the skyrocketing cost of motorcycle insurance is not an exaggeration. There are people who have ridden motorcycles responsibly and safely for decades who are now unable to get motorcycle insurance. Their policies won't even be written for them. And that's for those people who can't even get policies written. For the people who can get policies written, they're paying astronomical premiums, which is pricing out a huge number of riders who rely on motorcycles for daily transport, inexpensive daily transport. So it's a real serious issue. So this rally today is designed to make the lawmakers aware of the fact that motorcyclists are not just lifestyle dilettantes. They're real working men and women who rely on motorcycles for their daily commute, for their livelihood, for their transport. And motorcycles have other benefits in terms of reduced emissions compared to automobiles, reduced congestion of traffic as they are allowed to filter safely in the UK. It's just a real counterintuitive, pretextual legislation that's being promoted by lawmakers to try and weed out the number of motorcycles that are on the road in the UK. They started it by making the motorcycle license process both time-consuming and extremely expensive. And the number of motorcyclists that have been shut out of the ability to ride motorcycles in the UK simply because of the licensing laws is enormous. But you know, people love motorcycles, so they'll sit through the hours of classes, they'll go through the probationary license process, they'll pay the exorbitant insurance premium, and still government is trying to find new ways of limiting motorcycles on the roads. And it's just completely in the face of all of the data that shows that motorcycles are an answer to relieving congestion in a city. I was chatting with someone online talking about how we can combat this issue, how we can effectively lobby government and beyond voting these people out. And he suggested that we do ride-outs and rallies and protests. And I'm a motorcycle rider and I have been for nearly 20 years. But if you get me in a crowd of 50 to 5,000 motorcycles, I get intimidated. So I can only imagine how effective a mass protest of motorcycles is going to be and how convincing it is going to be to shift policy. I'm one of the fortunate who can afford this lifestyle, and I'm one of the stubborn who will pay the exorbitant fees, but those fees are so high because of the rampant crime, because of the theft of motorcycles and use of stolen motorcycles for crime. At some point you have to say, why am I subsidizing the crime and the anti-motorcycle legislation? The Palace of Westminster has its flag raising high. And as an immigrant to this country, I had to take a test for my citizenship, and there was a theme about the rule of law and democracy, and it was very inspiring. But I really feel like the people in power exploit those people who put them there, and it's It's a concerning condition, it's a concerning situation in most democracies. See this surly guy here riding this Gixxer. Young, old. Scooters, scramblers, commuters, couriers. There's a blood bike. These are not hoodlums. Touring bikes, adventure bikes, sport bikes, heritage bikes, vintage bikes. Most of these bikes are older than 2007, which is the threshold that the mayor has set for bikes to be able to ride within the congestion zone. If it's older than 2007, you get charged £12.50 a day. £12.50 a day over a year if you're a commuter or someone who relies on this for work is a £4,000 plus pound tax a year. Here's the blood bike here. I mean, this guy, he's a volunteer. Delivers blood. Most of these blood bikes are stolen when they stop outside the hospitals to deliver their shipments. They joyride them and crash them into a council estate somewhere. Those people even aren't even protected. So you can see it's a cross-section of British culture here that ride motorcycles. And this law will affect all of these people as well as the people that can't make it here at 4:30 on a Tuesday. So it turned from a rally at Parliament Square to a ride out. As soon as I pulled up, everyone was leaving. I don't think I was late. But I wonder if we're going to City Hall. I wonder where we're going. We'll see. I'm open to the adventure. I would assume that one of the points of this exercise is to create a bit of congestion, showing that if each of us were riding cars, we would take up this much space. And by taking up this much space on the bikes now together, we show how we're alleviating congestion. So by creating congestion, we're pointing out the fact that we're in fact alleviating it. So the police are out now monitoring the situation. Now, the police aren't going to do anything because they don't do anything when people are breaking the law. They can't do anything. It's not their fault. There's laws in place that prevent them from making pursuit of people on scooters or motorcycles committing crime. And it's not that they don't want to solve crime, they don't want to prevent crime, that they are policy driven out of the ability to combat crime. And that is one of the issues that we are hoping to highlight through this exercise. They definitely hear us in the halls of power there. Maybe it's waking up some of those sleeping politicians. There is no single class of bike, there's no single demographic that's represented here. This is a cross-section of folks in Britain and specifically London. I mean, you could just see these bikes in front of me. There's Westminster Abbey, Vicar, giving us a wave. Well, I don't know how effective it is in affecting policy change, but we're definitely getting a lot of attention. This bus driver's getting his licks in today, huh? I wonder how long this is going to be going around in circles. We're just going around and around now. I don't know if you can see, we've almost made a continuous ring around this roundabout. See, that bike would be charged there. You can tell the people who ride older bikes, they're not going to be the ones who are going to be able to pay this new pollution tax. And that's what it is. So it's really a attack on the lower earners of the motorcycle community. You know, with the cost of a license, with the cost of insurance, with all the rising costs of entry into this mode of transport, the ones who are being affected most are the people of the lower incomes, which is always how these policies work. That bike would be charged. That learner bike there. That guy's getting off bike there, that bike would be charged. The bike in front of him would be charged. That guy took my picture. I got snot streaming out of my nose. Fuck. I'm solving congestion and pollution in London. Fundamentally, we are. And really, as a group, motorcyclists are very eager to take on new technology. So the more efficient bike technology gets, we're going to be the first to jump on those innovations. And the more chilling effect you have for bikers to be costed out of the mode of transport and the lifestyle, you're going to have a chilling effect on innovation, and it's going to stall. And you're not going to have energy efficient motorcycles, which really is where the industry is heading. All in all, I think this event was a good showing on the part of the motorcycle community. I was happy to participate, and there's some important issues being addressed. The cross-section of the motorcycling community represented was humbling and I think very effective. And I'd say most of the bikes present would be burdened by the proposed penalty fees. A majority of them are working bikes. I was also glad to see a blood bike there, and it was a very potent showing by the community. I'm optimistic that this demonstration, at the very least, has raised awareness of the issues as well as pointed out the diversity of the people it affects. Another benefit to events like this is the likelihood of meeting like-minded folks who admire each other's bikes and are generally interested in making friends and sharing their experiences, which is fundamental to motorcycling and another reason to protect it here in London. If you like that video and you want to see more like them, hit like, share, and subscribe.